Hello, welcome to week 2. This is going to be day number 8. If you've been keeping score along, you should have just had a couple days sort of off from the daily grind here, where you were, maybe spending a little more time on your own, working on your customizing your site. This week we're going to take the next several steps, and today we're actually going to go ahead and register a domain name. Hopefully, over the weekend you were thinking of one, and you've got a pretty decent one in mind. Now, what we're going to do this, we're going to actually go through Amazon. We're going to go through their domain registration piece. You could also do it through things like GoDaddy or like namescheap.com or domain.com, or there's a whole bunch of other sites out there. We're using Amazon just to make it easy and self-contained. You can go to these other sites. It's not terribly difficult to do so. Basically, all you're going to have to do for most of them is know what your IP address is, which we've already used that. We use that in our when we connect to our server. We use our IP address, and usually if you've got that, they can walk you through it, depending on whoever your domain, wherever you decide to register it. Prices may vary. GoDaddy in particular is pretty good about first time, giving you you can usually get like a 25, 30, 35% discount. But after that, that's for like the first year or only new products. So it ends up running a little more expensive, I think, in the longer run. There's also some things like having a private domain versus not, and some other features around there that, you'll just have to sort of check them out. We are going to actually go in and do it in Amazon. We're going to log in. Hopefully you're already logged in to your console while I was vamping there. You may luck out with this register a domain. Otherwise, you're going to want to go to Route 53. I'm going to actually click on this guy just because, which I think he's going to bring you there anyways. What you do is you're going to choose a domain name. You pick your name. So I already have HockeyMomBook.com, but let me try. I'm going to try one like, and you can see there's a whole bunch of different extensions here. This would be if I wanted the .com name, a .net, a .org, .io, .info. There's some others in here, .adult. Wow, those are $100 a pop. Associates, .band. Some of these are pretty expensive for the specialty types. .bingo, .boutique, builders, business. Let's see. So what is .com's a nice 12. Let me see if I can get one a little cheaper. Probably won't be able to. I could get .click. Make it a club. Let's see. So I'm just going to, whoops. I just accidentally clicked. Shouldn't have. You see, there's a lot of different options out there. .com's really the one you're going to want, I think, in almost every case, unless you will get like maybe like .tv or something like that, depending on what your site wants. It really is. Some of these have some value to them. Typically people are going to guess .com first. So ideally, if you're only getting one domain name, I would get it as a .com. Let's see. And let me just do like a .name. I'll keep it simple. So I'm going to see if that exists. Once you've selected it, see if it exists. And it's going to say if it's available, and it's going to tell you, they're going to suggest some other stuff. See, like here, it's going to do a little bit of modifications to it. Like it's going to say, well, HockeyMomBook.com doesn't exist, but the HockeyMomBook.com does. So, you can get some stuff like that. And you can add on if add to cart if you'd like to. Otherwise, don't bother. I'm going to just stick with this. So I've got him. I'm going to continue. Let's see. So I've checked it. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got to add it to cart. I'm going to add it to my cart. So now I've added to the cart for a year. You can do 2 years, 3 years. Notice there's not really any discount for more years. So I'm going to do for 1 year. Continue. And you can register as, however you want to. These are going to be the contact details for domain. So you're going to want to go ahead and enter all that stuff in. As you get further down here, you have privacy protection, which is basically when people start looking up do a whois query for your domain, they can see who you are. So if I do a whois, it's whois.icann.org. And so if I did like developerpreneur.com, that's probably, this is going to be a really nasty, I hope that's what that says. So it's going to tell you who the contact is and stuff like that. If you don't want that visible, then you can go in here and you're going to click the hide contact information. Like I said, some of the domain places are going to cost, they're going to charge you extra. It's going to cost more to do a private one. That's part of what I like about Amazon. So just go ahead and do it once, keep it private, keep it safe. Also here, notice that your registrant, administrative, and technical, there's 3 different contacts tied to a domain name. They are registrant, essentially who owns it, the administrative, which is going to be who needs to who you need to contact for administrative purposes. And the third would be technical contacts, like if you have a developer working on things. If it's just you, make them all the same. Otherwise, if you do 3, then it's going to give you 3 sections to fill all that stuff out. I am going to go ahead and fill this out and then click continue. And then we will move on to the next step. Now, once you have gone through, likely what happened is you had a verify your information page, click the little box that said, yep, you want to do it. You click continue and boom, you go on. Now, at this point, we've registered our domain and it's going to tell you that we've done this. You're going to get an email, which will be possibly a validation. Let me see if I got one real quick. Haven't gotten one yet. And domain registration may take a couple of days. Sometimes it takes some time, so we may have to come back to this. But that's part of why we wanted to deal with it early on here, is to go ahead and get that thing configured and set to go. Once we have a registered domain, then, so it's right here, it's in progress, but once you get done, you'll be able to come back and see what you'll see that it has been accepted, and then you can turn around and set up your address to point to your domain to point to your server. So this one, you may actually want to pause and come back a little later, and we'll swing back around at some point and get your domain set up.
Through the magic of time travel and more importantly, just recording things pre-recording, we're going to jump ahead. It's about a day later. I've registered my domain name. You can see now that's going to tell me what my privacy protection is. It's going to have an auto renew and a transfer lock. Auto renew is checked off. That just means that at the end of the year that I registered it for, it's going to go ahead and they're going to be nice enough to charge my card again and renew for another year. You don't have to do that. You can turn it off. It's just then if you do, you may forget to renew at some point, and that could actually cause your site to be down, not reachable, at least through your domain name until the period of time where you actually renew it. Transfer lock makes it a little more difficult for if somebody wanted to hijack and completely steal your domain. It makes it more difficult for that to happen. We won't really go into that for now. So once you've set up, if you go to your site, to your domain, it'll give you your basic stuff. But what we really want to do is come in here to our dashboard, because what's going to happen is you'll get a email that's going to say they've successfully registered your name, and they're going to give you, of course, a couple of links. Well, what we want to do, is make sure I've got my IP address there. I've got my IP address there. So this is what it's going to look like when you come in. You're going to see that they've already set up a hosted zone for you. And if you look, you're going to have your one domain name. And this is what a hosted zone looks like. It's got it, basically they've set up, and you don't need to know too much of this in detail, but they've set up a domain. They've got these domain name servers that are just part of what directs traffic on the internet, for lack of a better term. They've got those configured. What you'd want to do is you want to come in and you're going to create a record set. And that record set is going to use your IP address. It's going to be your name over here. Oh, without the, I don't need HTTP, and I don't need that backslash. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. That's not what I want. I don't want it there anyways. Here, so this is going to be, and as it says, domain name for this record set. It can be just about anything. I'm going to leave it for this one blank. I come in and the value is the IP address. Leave it as an A record for now, for this one. We've got it directed to our IP address. And now you're going to see HockeyMomBook.name is an A record. And I can go ahead and create a second one and do www to there. And if I do that, it's going to have that also as an A record. So technically now if I go to this address, what you're going to see is, oh, there's my, that's my, if I go to my IP address, that's it. If I go there, let's make sure I can actually copy and paste that. I may not be able to. Yeah. So now, depending on what your extension is, you're probably going to have to use the HTTP ://. And right now, oh, it's already taken it. So it's already picked it up. So I can go there. I can also go to www, and it's going to go through. Sometimes it takes a little longer for this stuff to pick up. I think Amazon does a little better because what happens is when you create this address, it's got to propagate across the internet. So it takes typically 24 to 48 hours to do major changes. That's probably what's part of the delay in getting stuff set up initially for them, is that when it's set up, it seems like in most cases it's ready to go. So as we've seen here, I've created these and I am off and running. So now I can change this. So if I go there and go to the same place, oh, I have to make sure I spell it right. And so now what's happening is I can't get to it right now because it's set up to go with this IP address. However, if I go here to this, and it's going to come in and try to log me in. But notice up here, it's changed to my IP address. That's, did I forget my password? May have. That's because what you need to do is come into your general settings. You set up initially where your WordPress URL is. So now I've got to change this to do that, and I'm going to do this. And now if I do a save, now it's going to come in there. And notice now it's picked up my domain name. So now my website, and if I go to the same place, you can see, as you did there, and because I set up www, it'll get me there. It's going to shortcut it. It shortens that name out because it's going to use the one that's set up in your settings in WordPress. If you want to do a subdomain, so let's say you wanted to do downloads at your site. Well, with that one, you create a record set, and I'm going to do, let me call it FTP. I'll just say FTP is going to, let's just do test. So I'm going to create this test. So now if I go to test.hockeymombook.name, and this one is going to be a canonical name, so it's a CNAME record. And I can actually make this whatever I want it. So let me make this, let's say if I go to test, and I guess I'll go to the HTTPS. So now, see, if I normally just enter that address, this developer address, I'm going to do a redirect here. So that's what I should see. And now what we'll see here is if I make that my value, and it's a CNAME record, and create it, now we can see here that it's there. And if I go to test dot name, and I'll do an HTTP colon just to be safe, and it is not picking it up yet. So it has not, this is where it's going to take you some time to get to that point. It's got to actually percolate across stuff. However, if I come here, you can go to google.com, and I should be able to get to google.com if I wanted to do that. So if I wanted to go to test, in that case, it would go to google.com. But it's not good. So now we're seeing that it's not actually configured correctly yet, or it hasn't been propagated yet. So we're going to have to wait a while. Oh, there we go. So you can do some redirection that way through CNAMEs. You could do your FTP site. You could do mail. There's a lot of different things like that. But generally speaking, we don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to actually delete that record, because these are the only ones I need right now. If you want to get into more complicated stuff, there's a lot of different things you can do related to redirects and things like that. You can always follow their tutorials, and we may come back around to that. I'm sure we do visit this regularly on some of our posts and in our mentoring class, where we talk about things like cloud providers like that are similar to what Amazon provides, but basically it gives you a content distribution networks, CDNs, that allow you to put your images out on some super fast cloud server, so you don't have to put all of that storage and worry about having the fastest connection to your server. It instead connects to another person's servers. So there's some things like that we do. We talk about those regularly. For now, we will not worry about it. So you should be set up to go. This may have taken you roughly a day to get it done, but now you should be set up, seeing your domain name, and tomorrow we'll come back and move forward with the next couple of steps on getting our site up and ready to go. Until then, have yourself a great day.